Hello ladies and welcome back to my channel. My name is Olivia and today I wanted to talk to you about my wedding looks that I wore last week and demonstrate them for you. I'm going to start out by saying I'm in a completely different space today. My son is in. He came in for the wedding and he's upstairs resting right now. So I'm filming in my dining room. So you'll see the glare from the overhead chandelier and all my fun tchotchkes behind me in the china cabinet. But I'm going to start off by saying I had a few questions about the lace scarf that I wore, the pink. It's really pretty. I've got it right here. This scarf it's a light pink. I like a light rose pink with the flowers. This really pretty design on the edging. No tassels or anything, but I picked this one up because I did have questions. I picked this one up on Amazon. It's a Betsey Johnson scarf. It's still available on the website, of course, Amazon website. As of right now, I will be putting a link in the description box below for if you're interested in it. It comes in 3 colors. It's I think originally it came in more, but this one has been out for a while. So I will put the links to the white, the pink, and the black version of this below because it's just so pretty and there was some interest in it. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about with the lace is I was inspired to look for a pink one because of Wrapunzel. They had a few years ago, maybe even last year too, they had these beautiful Belle of the Ball scarves on the website. And I am a sucker for a good lace. So I'm hoping maybe they'll bring these back this year for holiday time. These were super, super cool. They inspired me to look for more of the lace scarves. They're a bit heavier and a little awkward to wrap with. So I'm going to say definitely not a beginner's scarf. If you're just starting out, it's going to be really difficult to wrap with these, but your intermediate wraps and more advanced wraps, these are going to be so much fun. Now, as another note on them, the lace, they are a bit heavier than your average cotton scarf because they have a lot of detailing on them. There's lots of thread embroidery, there's lots of sequins, some of them have beads, some of them dangles, so it's a little different wrapping with them than with this type of scarf. Now the scarves I used, I'm going to get right into the wraps from last week. The scarves I used were mainly pink and neutrals, with the exception of the rehearsal dinner. I wore blue and white. I wanted, my husband wore a really cool polo shirt in blue and I wanted to coordinate with him. It's always fun. So for the first wrap, I wore this slate blue 2-in-1 and a soft pashmina in a white. Now, the second wrap, my goodness, I threw them all on the floor. Please forgive me. I wore the superhero in the gold. Now, you're going to have to forgive any pulling on this one. My little kitty decided he was going to pull some type of gymnastics, or I don't even know what to call it, and he caught his little feet on here and gave it a little bit of a tug. I'm working on fixing that, but the joys of kittens. So this is one of the scarves in the second look. It's rather pretty. It's got a two-sided. It's two-sided. You know, you have this really metallic side and then the non-metallic side. Okay, and then because I liked this one so much and I wanted to find one in a color to match the colors in the wedding, which were pink and pink and purple. I picked up this scarf, which is very, very similar to the one from Rapunzel. And it's a rose pink. I know it's hard to see with my lighting. It's even worse than usual, but I'm working with it. So this is the second scarf I wore for the wedding look. And then the look I wore on the brunch day, which was the day after the wedding, I wore the superhero scarf in the gold with the lace. Now I tried to keep these wraps on the simple side, you know, just no crazy, no big fascinator pieces, just kind of understated looks. So they weren't overpowering. Simple outfits. Tried to go for a little bit more class. Now I'm going to take this pin out. I did wear this pin, which was a gift from the bride, on the wedding day. It's a really pretty pin. And I wore that on the day of the wedding. Another accessory that I wore, because I totally just forgot to mention it, for the first look was the headband I received with the August, forgive my shaking hands, with the August scarf of the month. Has these little pearls, and it's a very thin, probably less than a ½ inch in width, more like some between a quarter and whatever the next measurement is up, but it's less than a ½ inch, 3/8 maybe. So that's that. Now I'm gonna take off today's wrap. I've only worn this Great Expectations scarf once before today, so I had to put it on. I love it. It's interesting. Now, I tried really hard yesterday to film this tutorial. I pushed through it and I got to the end of it and I was just so not happy with the way things turned out. I wasn't wearing my blonde Wendy. I was wearing a white one, and it just didn't hang the way this one did. This one is an oldie but a goodie. It's the second shaper I ever bought, so it fits my head. It's not really snug. It's kind of loose, but not falling off. Then it hangs in such a way that it changes the way the wrap looks, and it doesn't seem to make sense, but it's something that I found that it does do. Now I'm going to start off with the first wrap, and I do hope that I actually get this one correct, because I'm going from memory. I don't know what I did with my phone. I'm going to try and recreate this one. It was just a simple, and I say this because it's just a 2-scarf beginner's lock I tied on at an angle. That's all it is. I tucked away all the tails. It wasn't, it was just, for me, I love the beginner's look. I just modify it a little bit to make it what I want. So I'm putting it on with the one long, one short tail. Now, it doesn't have to be precise because I'm going to be tucking away all the tails. It's no big to do. I'm tying in the back. And I want to get this side to be coming out the bottom. So, just flipping. All right. Just like this. Now, the only thing I make sure on the shorter side is that it can come up and tie a knot. Just about so. Just about there. Okay. So that's on. I'm tying it taut, not tight. And I have it on at an angle. Just like this. I'm going to be putting on my headband. My headband is at an extreme angle. It's the way I love to wear them. They're so much fun that way. Also, it's not as super tight on my big head, because some of these, I swear they make them for 5-year-olds because they're so tiny. Okay, putting this on this way. And I'm just putting it so that I can make sure that this piece that connects the fancy part to the elastic is hidden. And the same here. I just want that to be hidden and only see the really pretty beaded section. Now the amount of space you leave up at the front is up to you completely. Sometimes I feel like I need a lot of space, sometimes not so much. Totally up to you. It's a personal preference kind of thing. Now I've got this on. I am going to grab my white scarf and I'm going to fold it to fit my head. Now I'm not tying a knot in this one. I find too many knots, especially a pashmina, it gives me a little bit of a headache. So I'm not, at least it has been recently. I don't know what it's going on with it, but I've been finding that recently if I tie lots of knots in the back, too much pressure. So no knot for this one. I'm tying it on the same with the long end coming out over my right shoulder, short end coming out over my left, but at the opposite angle. Making sure to cover the shaper and that I'm leaving this knot covered. So making sure I gather it up. And you can see there's a little piece of my shaper showing in the front. I will totally fix that. I have my short ends here, my long ends here. And then I'm just going to play with this to get it to be covering. Okay, so now I have this. I am going to take my blue scarf on this side. And I really don't like the way this is placed. I'm going to reach into the back. There's a little pocket back here. I'm going to pull this through. Okay, and then tighten it back up. Okay, now I did that because when I'm pulling this tail up and over, I do want to see some of this white, and I do not want this scarf tail to flip this piece backwards like so, exposing my hairline and my ear. Now I'm folding it into thirds. Oh my. Okay, if my hands work, I'm folding it into thirds. There we go. I have to find the edge. Sometimes these guys give me a little bit of a hard time, but it's okay. In the end, they're going to do what I want them to do. I'm bringing this tail up and over, and I'm adjusting down here because I don't want a super ton of the white showing, just enough. Now, when I get to this point, I am not going to grab the blue, even though that's a total possibility. I am going to be grabbing this white scarf tail. In a perfect world, I would have already had this folded, but I'm going to bring it up. And when I bring it up, I'm going to bring it up in the back so that when I pull the knot through, I pull the tail through like this to create the knot, this white tail is in the back. So I have my first knot. Now the placement of the knot is completely up to you. I'm okay. I'm good with it being up here at a diagonal from my eye. I think it just draws your attention up. So it sort of lifts my face. I know it kind of seems weird, but I think that works really well. So this piece I'm flattening out. I'm bringing over the back. And I'm going to tuck the tails, these little fringy bits, into the back. Now, I'm not super worried about it being perfect because this guy is going to come up and over. Now, I'm going to be leaving this tail hanging for a few minutes. This beginner's lock, typically down here, but that is basically what it is. It's a beginner's lock. And I'm going to be pulling up the second scarf and doing another beginner's luck just slightly below. It's behind and below the first knot. So let's get to that. And here we go. So bringing up, when I bring it up, I want to make sure I'm still showing some of this blue. I don't want to cover that up completely. I do, however, want to cover up any ugly parts in the back here. Make sure this is nice and neat. It can have little pleats in it if it wants to. I'm not worried about that. But I brought this over, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did before with our friend the blue. And I'm going to round the front, in the back, and like so. 2 beginner's luck knots. You can open this up a little bit. If you wanted it to be wider, you can do a double beginner's luck, or maybe that's the amped up beginner's luck where you just bring it around twice. I didn't. I had one very large in the front, and then I had the blue behind. I can try to lift this a little bit and give it a little bit more. Okay, so here we have it. Now this piece I am going to take and tuck into the pocket back here. Just hide it away. So this gives us a nice neat look. Now I'm going to spin around to show you the back while the tails are hanging, because this is definitely a way to wear this ensemble. I did not for that day, because I did not want the tails to get into anything. I didn't want to lean forward and have the tails get in food or anything else. So what I'm going to do now, and what I did then, is I spread this open, and I wanted to make sure that I twisted it so that the longer edges covered the shorter edges. Now you can see you have the shorter parts in the back here, because it'll make it easier when I go to tuck in, when bringing it around the back and tucking it into the pocket, that I don't have as many fringy bits to worry about showing. Now I've got it nice and flat. I'm bringing it around the back, just like so. And I'm tucking just here. That's it. Just making it nice and neat. You can see some ugly parts here. I will do my best to cover those up with the blue, because now I'm going to pull the blue around, and I'm doing the same thing. This has all these short parts in the back. I want to make sure that all the short parts are inside like this. So I have the long part, I'm bringing it around the back, and I am going to find a place to tuck it. Now I can tuck it up underneath this direction, but I think I found a spot right here that I can tuck it into, making sure to get all of the edges in, like so. So this is what it looks like in the back. I'm trying to make sure I cannot feel my shaper down here, because I do not want that hanging out. But this is the ensemble that I wore for the rehearsal dinner. It's really, really fun. Now I wore it with that really pretty blue and white embroidered caftan, and yay. So I'm going to take this off and move right into the next look, which is slightly different. And I'm hoping that I can recreate it well. Okay, take this one off. Now the kitten is upstairs asleep, so I'm not worried about the scarves on the floor right this minute. I say that and I'll hear him jingle jingle down the steps. Okay. All right, now the second scarf ensemble is this one. Now this one I wrapped a little bit differently because I wanted to have the tails be extremely long as I could get them, one on either side. So I'm folding over the front edge, and I'm going to take this scarf, fold it over about this much because I don't want the back to have too much hanging down. I want it to be just at the bottom of my shaper so that it's not too bulky back there, and you will see why. Now when I place it on my head, I'm just going to place it at an angle. This is the technique, and I'm just going to insert this here. This is the technique I use for most of my wraps with square scarves. I get the one little tiny end over here, I fold it down, and I bring over whatever I can to this side. Now this one's going to be a little bit difficult, but we're going to get it done. I'm bringing the whole tail, keeping pressure on this one, over to this side. I did not use any pins that day, the day that I did this, because of course it didn't give me any hard times. Okay, we're gonna cross our fingers that this one doesn't. And I'm going to do the same thing with the pink, going the opposite direction. Now, I did forget to say that when I was wrapping this, I didn't want the metallic side of the scarves showing. So I am using the side that is more subtle with the metallic threads, not this one. Again, personal preference, you could totally do the one with the metallic side out. It's just personal preference. Now I'm going to be putting this scarf on the opposite, but the same way. And let's see if I can do this without thinking too much about it. Okay, so I've got the folding, just like so. And we're going to put it on at the opposite angle. And this is why this is going to stay, because I'm going to use the tension from the second scarf. And with this one, I'm just going to gather it up. I'm going to bring it around. And I'm going to be tucking underneath underneath the scarf. Now, this is showing. I'm just going to try to tuck it underneath, just like so. Okay. Now, here we go. This is good. Now, I noticed when I wrapped this, and I saw it in the pictures, and it was really, really cool, I had accidental pleats in the front on this side. Totally was not the plan. I'm going to try to do that again, but I don't know if that's going to work. So I'm putting in a couple of, just a fold, and then I'm going to put one pleat, just like this. I'm not going to be too fussy with it because, again, those were accidents. So we're gonna see how this works. All right, I'm going to bring this up at the angle. Ooh, that's pretty. I got 3, and I'm just bringing it around, just like so. So you got the scarf there. I'm going to adjust this just because I want it to lay flatter. This piece here, I'm going to do a little tucky tuck. And now I'm going to do the same thing with this side. Now I'm folding it into thirds. I like to fold this one in first and this one over. And let's see if we can get this to lay really prettily on this side. Okay, so just up at an angle, back, around, and over. So there you go. You've got these guys. Now, I think I'm trying to remember correctly where I had the knot. I'm folding this guy around. I'm going to spin around really quick to show you what the back looks like. It's nothing spectacular. It's just it shouldn't be really bumpy, lumpy, and messy because of the way we wrapped. It should be very, very neat. There may be. Here's one bump I feel. But let me spin around. This was the bump right here. Now I'm going to lift this scarf here so that can cover up just a little bit. And this one gets lifted. Okay. So I've got these two. Now I'm going to bring them up and over. And this is just a really, really straightforward, simple knot. The pink goes in front. Let's see if I can get this color a little bit better. Pink in front, and it goes around, just like so. This gives you one kind of look. Or you can have the tan in front, like so, and this gives you a whole another kind of look. So I can get this behind here. Playing with the knot will give you a slightly different look on the side. So I will quick tuck this in. You can see this guy here is kind of attractive. You see you have the pink and then the two whites. This is where they're not white, it's gold. And then here the pin. We can do it this way. Or we can bring it up, and if we want the gold, we can bring this pink up over. You can have your this is so cool for experimentation, just like so. And you can have your knot on that side. Either way, it works. Now I do believe that when I tied it, I had the knot on this side because I wanted the gold pin to pop out. So I'm gonna just play with this to get it neat. Same with this side. It's easier just to do them first. That way you can just bring them up. Okay, so we have them folded. Okay, so bringing this up and over, bringing this up, and then I'm going to tie this way. Okay, so I have the knot, and I have the pink coming out in the front. I'm going to bring it back and over. And I'm just tucking this away. So again, any way you tie this, it's going to be attractive because it's such an elegant wrap. I'm just tucking this away. I will probably find a better place to tuck it. And I'm going to retuck you because I didn't like the way that tucked. Okay. Now, I am not sticking the pin on because my hands today, I'm having a little bit of trouble with them, but I'm going to say this is where I placed it. I'm going to spin around so you can see the back of the wrap. It's just like so. Now, any lumps and bumps, I could so totally move and hide. I can adjust these things. I'm hoping it's not too messy back there. Okay, and this is the second look. This is the look I wore for the wedding. So you can see it's elegant, it's beautiful, but it's not too over the top and attention grabbing. Okay, I'm taking this guy off. And I'm going to drop this one onto the floor. Now for the, oops, snatching my wrap off. There we go. For this last look for the wedding, probably should just call it the wedding weekend because it was, you know, it was a 3-day event. It was so much fun. I took this guy and it was slightly off center, folded just like so, because again, I don't want too much bulk at the nape of my neck. I'm just doing slightly off center. Now, since I didn't iron this, it's easy for me to figure out where center is. It's that really cool line. And I'm placing it, unlike the last 2 wraps, which were at an angle, I'm just placing it straight across. And I'm gonna give it a quick knot in the back. All right, so I have this going on. Now the shorter end is coming out when I tie the knot. It's coming out on the bottom. I don't think it really makes a difference on this wrap, but that's the way I did it. So I wanted to keep it similar, keep it the same. Okay, now my lace scarf. I did the same thing with the one long, one short end, and I'm placing it on my head. Now again, these are a bit heavier than some other scarves, so there's going to be some weight to it. I also do not tie this in a knot. It's just too much bulk in the back for tying a knot. Now I'm lining up my lace like so. I like that loop in the center. You could totally do it this way. Again, personal preference, but I want the front lined up with the front of the gold scarf. I'm gathering like so. I'm going to spin. You can see I'm just going to go crisscross in the back. I am not going underneath of the scarf, underneath the first scarf, because I don't want this itchy bits on my neck. I don't want it. I have this higher volume. We have this section here for a reason, and it's to take some of the pressure off of our necks. So I'm utilizing that. Now I'm setting it down. Okay, I'm setting it down. I'm going to take this guy here and I'm folding it, and I'm going to bring him up and over as flat as I can. I don't want any creases or pleats or anything to bulk up the top front. I'm going to not fight this. There's one pleat that wants to happen further back, but it will not damage the look of the wrap back there. I just didn't want pleats up here to take away from the flatness and smoothness of this wrap. Now, with this piece, I'm going to bring it down and around the back, which will help lock in the lace. Since we're not tying a knot, it's more apt to shift, but this will help to keep it in place with pressure. Be careful not to pull this scarf too tightly. You do not want to squeeze your head and give yourself a headache. This is a very loose and comfortable wrap. I say comfortable. I'm used to weight, so that may be a deal breaker for some people. But this is a looser wrap. It doesn't have to be pulled super tight. This lace piece, I'm just going to open it up and flip it across, just like so. I'm leaving this piece dangle. I'm adjusting backwards so that, again, these lace pieces, the edges, and I know this is hard to see and I apologize, I just want it to line up with the gold. I'm pulling it down. I'm going to grab this piece, which is rather long, and this piece, which is underneath. And this is where it's kind of creates this side knot. I'm going to bring our gold tail around both of the pieces. this. Okay, I did that backwards. Okay, I'm going to bring it around both the pieces, but I'm going to start in the back, bring it down, around, and then there's a hole back here that we can create. So when I bring this around, this piece down, I can bring it up through this loop right here and pull tight. I have this cute, now you can totally just tuck this under here and you have the look. Now I took this guy just because I didn't think about leaving it down. I tightened it and I found the opening in the lace and I stuffed this guy away in the back here and dropped the lace down over it. So it's sort of a veil-ish wrap without being big veil, without having all the long bits dangling down in the back. So this is the third day, the brunch ensemble. Now the tail hangs a little bit differently. Each time I wrap this, if I want to make sure you get more of the underneath, I can just adjust and bring more of the shorter tail up to give a more cascade kind of effect. I tried with this one to do the lazy woman's veil type that's kind of comfortable and fun, but this is not wide enough. This piece here is not wide enough for that. It is what it is, because that would just give it an even more cascade kind of feel. But it didn't work good enough to wear for that day. So this is the way I did it. Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I apologize again for the setting and the lighting. It's what it is. And I really do hope you found the wrap tutorials helpful. Have a wonderful day for everyone who celebrates Lashana Tova. We are going right into all the high holidays. It's going to be super, super exciting. So have a wonderful weekend. Happy holidays. It's like I'm trying to think of everything just to make sure I'm inclusive here. Just say happy Thursday. I will see you in the next one.